So today I'm making this video to solve a very common confusion among students who are learning basic English grammar. Also, I've seen quite a lot in the PSC aspirants. This confusion is very common. The confusion is between reflexive pronoun and emphatic pronoun. Two kinds of pronouns with some similarities in them, which makes them so confusing to understand, to detect them in a sentence. We need to focus on the name first, all right? The first one, as I said, is reflexive pronoun. The reflexive word itself came from reflection. We all know what reflection means. A mirror copy, a twin copy. And the other one is emphatic pronoun. The emphatic word came from emphasis. What does emphasis mean? Emphasis means putting pressure on something while saying or while speaking or writing, or giving special attention to something or someone. That is what emphasis mean. So what are pronouns? We have to decode that first. We all know what are pronouns. They are alternative words to names. The words that alternates the names, the nouns. Suppose he, she, it changes or it sits in the place of direct names, the subjects. There are more kinds of pronoun. There are 10 kinds of mostly pronouns studied nowadays. But the confusion remains between these two. Why so? Because these both pronouns, to use them, we add self. The word self we add to form these two pronouns, and the pronouns are same. Suppose myself, yourself, himself, and if plural, themselves, ourselves, etc. Many more, Myself, yourself, himself, themselves, we just added a self or selves in the plural number. So these are both reflexive pronoun and emphatic pronoun. Both are same, the same words, no difference. Then why does it differ? It differs in the use of both of them are completely different. In reflexive pronoun, the pronoun is necessary to complete the meaning of the sentence. A necessary pronoun. Why necessary? To complete the meaning of a sentence. So we can say if a sentence carries a reflexive pronoun, if we put it off, if we move it off, then the sentence will be incomplete. The sentence will carry no meanings at all. So a reflexive pronoun is a necessary part of a sentence. But emphatic pronouns are not. As the meaning, I said, it came from emphasis. Emphasis means putting pressure on. So does emphatic pronouns do. They just put pressure on the subject. And what does reflective pronoun do? Reflexive pronoun do, you know, to show that the action is done by the doer to the doer or for the doer. বাংলায় বললে যিনি কাজটি করছেন, যে ব্যক্তি কাজটি করছেন, তিনি তার নিজের জন্য করছেন বা নিজের প্রতি করছেন, সেটা হচ্ছে আমার রিফ্লেক্সিভ প্রোনাউন। এবং আমি কি বললাম, সেলফ অ্যাড করি আমরা প্রোনাউন বানাতে গেলে, এবং এই রিফ্লেক্সিভ প্রোনাউন কি হয়, আমাদের বাক্যে প্রয়োজন হয়। বাক্য থেকে সরিয়ে দিলে বাক্যটির অর্থ কখনোই সম্পূর্ণ হয় না। এবার আসি তাহলে এমফ্যাটিক প্রোনাউনে। এমফ্যাটিক কি করে, পুটস বা adds emphasis to the doer. যিনি কর্তা তার উপর কি করে, it adds some extra pressure, to give special attention to the speaker or the doer or the subject of the sentence. It will be better to understand through a couple of examples. I'll go on that. But as I said, emphatic pronouns are not necessary to complete the meaning of a sentence. Now, as I've said a lot, now get to the most important part, examples. First, we'll go for reflexive pronoun. I'm writing it reflex, So, as I said, a necessary part. Suppose I was shaving and I hurt myself. This is a pronoun here. I is also a pronoun, but we're talking about reflexive, the pronouns itself in them. All right? Now, emphatic pronoun. He baked the cake himself. Himself is the emphatic pronoun here. So why did I say that reflexive pronouns are necessary? Get rid of the word, just cut it off. Now read the sentence. I was shaven and I hurt. Does the sentence make any sense? No. Hurt whom? It is incomplete. আমি যদি বলি যে আমি দাড়ি কাটছিলাম, সে সময় আমি নিজেকে আঘাত করেছি বা আমি নিজেকে কেটে ফেলেছি, আই কাট মাই সেলফ, যদি আমি লিখতাম আমি নিজেকে আঘাত করেছি, কিন্তু মাই সেলফটা এখানে যদি আমি না দিই, আমি আঘাত করেছি, আমি আঘাত করেছি কি, কাকে, কেন, সেন্টেন্সটা কমপ্লিট হচ্ছে না। তাহলে এই হলো আমার রিফ্লেক্সিভ প্রোনাউন। সাবজেক্টকে অবজেক্টের মধ্যে রিফ্লেক্স হতে দেখা যাচ্ছে। We'll see the reflection of the subject in the object. That's why it is named reflexive pronoun. It reflexes. All right? But in the second sentence, if we see it carefully, cut it off, the himself part. Now read it. He baked the cake. Yep, it makes sense. The same meaning portrays this sentence without himself. সে কেকটি বেক করেছে। আর যদি হিমসেলফ দিয়ে বলতাম সে নিজেই কেকটি বেক করেছে, তো দুটোর মানে একই। বাট হোয়াট ইজ হিমসেলফ ইজ ডুইং হেয়ার? পুটিং সাম এক্সট্রা প্রেশার, স্ট্রেসিং আউট দ্য হি। তাকে একটু বেশি গুরুত্ব দেওয়া হচ্ছে, সেই বানিয়েছে কেকটা, তার উপর একটু প্রেশার দেওয়া হচ্ছে। দ্যাটস অল। এবং হাউ টু differentiate these both? If we see a self or self's pronoun in a sentence, just ask yourself or just see by cutting off the pronoun from the sentence. Just cut off the himself or herself or myself part from the sentence and read it. And if you see the sentence is making a complete sense, then it is an emphatic pronoun. It's just putting pressure on the subject. But if it does not, if the sentence is not making any sense without the pronoun, then we can say, or you will be assured, you should be assured that it is a reflexive pronoun. I hope it helps and the confusion is clear now. And I'd like to share some suggestion if you are confused enough, If you're confused between anything, suppose here I taught you reflexive pronoun and emphatic pronoun. If you are confused between anything at all, take 2 examples from the grammar book. Don't read the part, alright? Don't read the part from the grammar book, but take 2 examples between those that you are confused with and write them on a notebook or a paper and try to code yourself what the differences are. You'll understand by yourself. Just think a bit, and if you do so in the process, it is a much harder process, much lengthier process. So it will help to store that in your memory for a long time in a better way. That's how I like to teach my students. That's how I try to teach you guys also. All right, good night, happy Bengali New Year.